Welcome to Who's Wrong With Chic. I'm Chic, and if you're into messy stories, blurred morals, and moments that make you stop and ask, wait, who's actually wrong here? You're in the right place. Hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next story. Now, let's get into it. Am I the jerk for not giving up my window seat? So this just happened. I'm still shaking. I had a flight, like a 6-hour flight, and I had specifically booked and paid extra for a window seat. I love window seats. I like to lean against the wall, stare out, or just close my eyes and zone out. It's my little sanctuary on a plane. I get pretty anxious flying, so it's a small comfort. I settled in, put my headphones on, the usual. Then, this woman, she comes up to my row hauling a kid, probably like 4 or 5 years old. He's already whining. Great. She stops beside my seat, the window seat, and just stares at me, like I'm in her seat. I take off my headphones, confused. She opens her mouth, and I swear I knew what was coming before she even spoke. She says, and I quote, "Excuse me, but my son really wants to sit by the window. Would you mind switching with him?" Okay, first of all, it's not her son's seat. It's my seat. I paid for it. Second, the kid looked like he was about to throw a tantrum either way. He was already red-faced and pulling on her shirt. I blinked at her. "No, sorry," I said. "I paid extra for this seat. I really prefer the window." I tried to be polite, but firm. Her face just went sour, like she couldn't believe I was denying her. "But he's just a child," she huffs, gesturing at the kid, who was now kicking the back of the seat in front of him. "He wants to see out the window. It's a long flight." I just looked at her. "I understand," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "But I also paid for this specific seat. I booked it weeks ago." Then she pulls out the big guns. "You're going to make a child upset?
You're clearly an adult. You can sit anywhere." Oh, the entitlement. It just hit me like a slap. I'm an adult, so my comfort doesn't matter. My money doesn't matter. Just because her kid suddenly decided he wants the window now. Before I could even respond, the kid, who had been relatively quiet for a second, looks at me, and he screams, like a full-on, ear-splitting shriek. He points at me. "Mommy, he's scary. His face is scary." My face? My face is scary? I mean, I wasn't smiling, no. I was trying to hold a neutral expression to avoid escalating. But scary? I have a perfectly normal face. The mom immediately uses this. "See, you're upsetting him. You're scaring my child." She lowers her voice, but it's still loud enough for people around us to hear. "Just move, please. You're causing a scene." Now I'm causing a scene? I'm sitting in my paid-for seat, minding my own business, and I'm the one making a scene? The flight attendant was already making her way over, drawn by the kid's wails. "Is everything all right here?" the flight attendant asked, looking between me and the angry mom. The mom points at me dramatically. "He's refusing to move from my son's window seat, and he's scaring him. Look!" The flight attendant looks mildly annoyed, probably used to this drama. She turns to me. "Sir, is there an issue?" I explained, calmly as possible, that I booked and paid for this specific seat, that I prefer the window seat myself, and that her son's sudden objection to my scary face wasn't really my problem. I know it sounded a bit petty when I said it, but I was so flustered. The mom started arguing with the flight attendant then, saying something about how basic human decency means giving up a window seat for a child. The flight attendant just sighed. She basically told the mom that if she wanted a window seat for her child, she should have booked one or asked at the gate, and that I was under no obligation to move. The mom ended up having to sit the kid in the middle seat next to me,
still making little whining noises and occasionally peeking at me from behind his mom's arm. It was super awkward. The whole flight, I just kept my headphones on and stared out the window, occasionally catching her glaring at me. I felt like an asshole, sure, like a tiny bit. A kid was visibly upset. But also, I paid for it. Why should I have to give up something I paid for because someone else didn't plan ahead? And the scary face comment really stung. So what do you think? Was I the jerk for not giving up my window seat, especially after the kid said I scared him? Commenter 1 said, "No way, you paid for that seat. Her poor planning isn't your emergency, and calling your face scary? Please." Commenter 2 said, "Honestly, it's a flight. Sometimes you just gotta be the bigger person for 5 hours. Just switch seats. Kids get antsy." Commenter 3 said, "The flight attendant backed you up. Case closed. She was entitled and tried to guilt trip you. Good for you for sticking to your guns." Did I overreact for leaving my cousin's wedding after they seated me at the kids' table? Okay, I need to know if I'm wrong here because I'm still fuming. My cousin just got married, big fancy wedding. I made a huge effort to be there. I bought a new dress, traveled like 3 hours, got a hotel room, the whole 9 yards. I even bought them a really nice gift, well over the suggested amount because I wanted to be generous and celebrate with them. I get to the reception and I'm looking for my table number. I find it on the seating chart, table 5. Okay, I make my way over, feeling pretty good, ready to party. And then I see it, table 5. It's not just a regular table. It's literally the kids' table. Like a small round table, maybe 6 chairs total, adorned with cartoon-themed centerpieces and filled with kids ranging from about 6 to 12 years old. My heart just sank. I'm 32 years old. 32. Not a teenager, not a close family friend's kid. I'm a full-grown adult, a cousin of the groom, and they stuck me at the kids' table. I actually did a double take. I thought maybe I misread the chart, or maybe it was a joke. I walked around the room again, checking every single table. Nope. Table 5 was undeniably the kids' table. And there I was, the only adult. Well, besides maybe one older teenager who looked just as mortified as I felt. I stood there for a good 5 minutes, just staring at it, trying to process. The kids at the table were already deep into conversations about Roblox and some TikTok dance. They didn't even notice me. My cousin, the one who got married, walks by with her new husband, all smiles. She sees me standing there, looks at the table. "Oh hey, found your seat? Sorry it's a bit cozy over there with the little ones." She giggled, like it was the funniest thing in the world. Cozy? Cozy? I just plastered on a fake smile. "Oh yeah, it's something." I couldn't even force myself to say fine. She just shrugged and said, "We just had a few last-minute changes, and we wanted you to be near family." Then she and her husband floated away to greet other guests, leaving me there. Near family? Oh, I was near family. Very short family. I felt so incredibly disrespected, humiliated even, like I didn't matter enough to be seated with the other adults. Was I an afterthought? Did they think I wouldn't notice? Did they think I'd just sit there and pretend to enjoy animated conversation with first graders? I just couldn't do it. I stood there for a few more minutes, watching the kids squabble over a bread roll. I thought about sitting down, trying to make the best of it. But the more I thought, the more my blood boiled. All that effort, the money, the travel, only to be treated like an inconvenience. So I didn't sit down. I walked straight out. I went to the coat check, got my newly bought dress coat, and left the venue. I didn't say goodbye to anyone. I didn't make a big scene. I just
silently exited in a huff. I got back to my hotel, ordered room service, and just stewed. I know it was their wedding day, and maybe I should have just sucked it up. But it felt so personal, so dismissive. Later that night, my aunt, her mom, ended up calling me, absolutely furious. "How could you just leave? It's your cousin's special day. You ruined it for her for something so trivial." Trivial? Trivial? Being treated like a child when you're a grown adult is trivial? I told her how it made me feel, how disrespectful it was. She just kept saying I was overreacting and that I should have thought about the bride and groom. But honestly, I thought about myself, and my feelings, and the fact that they clearly didn't think about me enough to give me a proper adult seat. So tell me, did I overreact? Should I have just stayed and pretended everything was fine? Or was leaving justified? Commenter 1 said, "OMG, no, that's so rude. You showed up, brought a gift, you deserve a proper seat. Good for you for leaving." Commenter 2 said, "It's a wedding. They probably had a seating crisis. You could have just moved to a different adult table or stood. Leaving was a bit dramatic." Commenter 3 said, "Being sat at the kids' table at 32, that's pure disrespect. You are absolutely not wrong." Am I wrong for locking my trash bin? Okay, this is going to sound petty, but I'm at my wit's end. I live in a neighborhood where we all have individual trash bins, but they're set out on the curb for collection. My neighbor, let's call him Gary, has been consistently, repeatedly, annoyingly putting his excess trash in my bin. It started subtly, like one extra bag nestled amongst mine. I thought, okay, maybe he had a big week, whatever. But it's escalated. Now almost every trash day my bin is completely full, often with his stuff on top, sometimes overflowing. And I can barely fit my own trash in it. I work from home, so I see him do it sometimes. He'll wait until I've put my bin out. Then he'll sneak over and just dump his bags in, as if I won't notice. I mean, look, I get it. Sometimes you have extra trash, but he has his own bin, and sometimes his bin isn't even full. He just seems to prefer using mine, maybe because it's closer to his driveway, or he just doesn't care. But I do care, because if my bin is overflowing, the sanitation company sometimes won't take it all. Or if he puts something really heavy in it, sometimes they skip it. And then I'm stuck with his trash. I've tried the polite route. Seriously. I went over one time casually and said, "Hey Gary, just noticed my bin was super full last week and I couldn't get all my trash in. Is everything okay?" I was trying to hint without being confrontational. He just shrugged. "Oh yeah, just had some extra stuff. Must have accidentally tossed it in yours. Sorry." No real apology, no real change. It happened again the very next week, and the week after that. I even left a note a few times, a very polite, "Please do not put trash in this bin, thank you," note taped to the lid. He ripped it off. I found it crumpled on the ground near his driveway. He clearly saw it. So I got fed up, completely fed up. I went online and bought a trash bin lock. It's one of those heavy-duty steel cable locks that wraps around the lid and clips to the handle, so you can't open it when it's on. It's pretty brilliant, actually. The next trash day, I put my full bin out on the curb, but I locked it first. I made sure the cable was visible. I figured he'd see it, realize he couldn't open it, and use his own damn bin. Well, this morning I woke up to a furious pounding on my door. It was Gary. He was red-faced, holding two of his own trash bags and pointing a furious finger at my locked bin on the curb. "What is this, huh?" he yelled, practically spitting. "You locked your bin? Are you serious? What kind of neighbor does this?" I opened the door just a crack. "Gary," I said, "I asked you repeatedly not to use my bin. I left notes. You ignored me. I need my bin for my own trash." "But I have extra," he shouted. "My bin is full. Where am I supposed to put it now?" I just looked at him. "That's your problem, Gary, not mine. You have your own bin." He completely lost it. He started yelling about how I was being selfish, unneighborly, and a total jerkwad. He said I was creating a huge inconvenience for him. I told him he was creating a huge inconvenience for me by constantly filling my bin. He eventually stormed off, muttering about reporting me to the HOA or something, as if locking my own trash bin is against any rules. My partner thinks I might have been a bit extreme with the lock. They said maybe I should have given him a final, explicit warning directly before resorting to a lock. But honestly, I felt like I had warned him enough. How many times do I have to ask someone to stop doing something that impacts me directly? So, was I wrong to just lock my bin without another verbal warning? Am I the jerk for not letting him use my bin? Commenter 1 said, "Your bin, your rules." You warned him repeatedly. He disrespected your boundaries. The lock is a perfect solution. Commenter 2 said, "A lock? Really? That's super aggressive. You should have just had a direct conversation one last time. Now it's a neighborhood feud." Commenter 3 said, "Not wrong at all. Some people only understand boundaries when you physically enforce them. Gary made you do it." Am I the jerk for uninviting my friend from my wedding? Okay, this feels awful, but I honestly don't know what else I could have done. I'm getting married next month, and obviously it's a huge deal for me. My best friend Sarah was supposed to be a bridesmaid. We've been inseparable since high school. Keyword was supposed to be. The rehearsal dinner was last night. Everything was going great. Everyone was happy, excited. My fiancé, John, was there. His family, my family, all the bridesmaids, groomsmen. You know, the usual happy chaos. We're all sitting around the table, eating, laughing, doing the toasts thing. It was just a really lovely atmosphere. Then, Sarah, she gets up for her toast. I'm smiling, expecting some sweet, funny story about us, or maybe something about me and John. But then she opens with, "To my name, and John. You know, I remember when my name used to say she'd never find anyone after ex-boyfriend's name broke her heart. But look at her now." My smile froze. I felt the blood drain from my face. Everyone else was laughing, but it wasn't a comfortable laugh. It was that awkward, nervous kind of laughter where people don't know what to do. Ex-boyfriend's name. My ex, from like 5 years ago. He was a truly horrible person, emotionally manipulative, and left me in a really dark place. John, my wonderful fiancé, helped me climb out of that hole. He knows about the ex, of course, but it's a sensitive topic. It's part of my past, something I've worked really hard to heal from, and something I absolutely did not want mentioned at my wedding events, especially not by my supposed best friend. John's hand found mine under the table, squeezing it gently. He looked just as uncomfortable as I felt. My parents looked horrified. Silence fell after Sarah's comment. She didn't seem to notice. She kept going, oblivious. She used to cry on my shoulder for months, saying she'd never trust anyone again. So it's amazing to see her here now, with John, proving all her old fears wrong. She finished, totally beaming,
as if she'd delivered the most touching, hilarious toast ever. People clapped, but it felt forced. The whole mood of the rehearsal dinner shifted. It was like a giant, unwelcome elephant just sat down in the room between me and John and our families. After the dinner, I pulled Sarah aside. I tried to keep my voice low.
But I was so angry, I was shaking. Sarah, what was that? She looked confused. What, my toast? I thought it was sweet. You know, showing how far you've come. You mentioned ex-boyfriend's name, I said, my voice barely a whisper, at my rehearsal dinner, the night before my wedding, the man who nearly destroyed me. She finally seemed to get it, a little. Oh, right. I just thought it would show how strong you are to overcome that and find John. It was inappropriate, Sarah, I snapped. It was completely out of line. You brought up a painful part of my past that has absolutely no place at my wedding celebrations. You embarrassed me and John. She started to get defensive then. I didn't mean anything by it. It was just a little anecdote. You're overreacting. Overreacting? My best friend, my bridesmaid, just put a dark cloud over my rehearsal dinner by dredging up my most painful relationship. I told her straight up that I couldn't have her stand up with me tomorrow, that I needed people around me who were celebrating us, and only us, without any baggage from my past. She started crying. She said I was being heartless, that she was my best friend, and I was ruining her opportunity to be part of my big day. She said she was sorry, but it sounded forced, like she was only sorry she got caught, not sorry for what she actually said. I told her she could still attend the wedding as a guest, but she wouldn't be a bridesmaid. I just couldn't have her up there, representing me, after that. She ended up leaving the hotel in a huff. Now I'm left scrambling for a substitute bridesmaid, and I feel like absolute garbage. But also, I feel like she completely disrespected me on purpose, or at least with total emotional blindness. John says I did the right thing. My sister says I was too harsh and should have just let it go for one night. So, am I the jerk for uninviting my best friend from being a bridesmaid after she brought up my ex at the rehearsal dinner? Commenter 1 said, "No, not wrong. That was incredibly inappropriate and selfish of her. You don't bring up exes at wedding events, especially an abusive one." Commenter 2 said, "It's her wedding. Her best friend should know better. The timing and content were just so wrong. Good for you for protecting your peace." Commenter 3 said, "It was maybe a clumsy mistake. You could have pulled her aside and just said, 'Hey, let's keep the focus on John and me tomorrow,' instead of outright firing her." Am I wrong for being mad my roommate logged into my journal? So, I'm pretty sure I'm not crazy, but I need some outside opinions here. I've been living with my roommate, Chloe, for about a year now. We've had a pretty decent relationship, or so I thought. We respect each other's spaces, or so I thought. I'm a writer, and I use a particular online journaling platform. It's password protected, obviously. It's where I dump all my thoughts, feelings, insecurities, frustrations, dreams, basically my entire inner world. It's completely private, meant for my eyes only. It's sacred to me. I keep a list of all my passwords in a small, discreet notebook tucked away in my desk drawer. It's not like out in the open. You have to actively look for it. A few days ago, I was having an issue logging into another app, and for the life of me, I couldn't remember the password. So I went to grab my little password notebook. It was there, but it looked out of place, like it had been moved and then put back, but slightly off. My heart started to beat a little faster. I just had a gut feeling.
I went to my journaling platform, changed my password immediately, but then I started obsessing. Could she have? Why would she? I decided to do a little test. I wrote a very specific, slightly exaggerated entry in my journal about something I was feeling, something I had never mentioned to Chloe before, or to anyone really. It was about a very niche, slightly embarrassing insecurity I have.
Then I waited. The next day, Chloe and I were just hanging out in the living room, watching TV, all normal. And then she just casually brings up the exact, niche, slightly embarrassing insecurity I had written about. She said, "Oh, I was thinking about my embarrassing insecurity. And a lot of people feel that way. You shouldn't worry about it." She said it with a sympathetic tone, but it was exactly what I wrote about, down to the phrasing. My blood ran cold. My heart dropped to my stomach. There was no way she could have known that unless she read my journal. Absolutely no way. I had never spoken about it. I just stared at her. "Chloe," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, but I could feel the anger rising. Did you read my journal?" She immediately got defensive. Her eyes got wide. "What? No! Why would I do that?" "Don't lie to me," I said, my voice now tight. "You just mentioned something I wrote in my private journal, something I've never told anyone else. How did you know about it?" She stammered for a bit. Then finally, she cracked. She admitted it. "Okay, fine, I looked. I was just curious. I saw your password notebook there and I couldn't help myself." "You logged into my private journal?" I just couldn't believe it. "You went into my desk, found my password book, and logged into my personal thoughts?" She started to cry. "I'm sorry. I know it was wrong. I really like reading your stuff. You're such a good writer, and I just wanted to know what you were thinking about. It was a moment of weakness." A moment of weakness? This isn't like reading an old text message. This is my deepest, most vulnerable thoughts. Everything I poured my heart into, she just scrolled through it for her entertainment, and then used it against me, even if it was sympathetically. I told her that what she did was a huge breach of trust, that she invaded my privacy in the worst way possible. I feel completely exposed, violated, like my brain has been ransacked. I don't feel safe in my own home anymore. I don't feel safe pouring my thoughts out when someone I live with thinks it's okay to just snoop. She keeps apologizing, saying she'll never do it again, that she didn't mean any harm. But how do I trust that? How do I ever trust her again after that? I'm not even sure I want to live with her anymore. I feel like she doesn't understand the gravity of what she did. Am I wrong for being this angry? For feeling like it's a huge betrayal that might be unforgivable? Or am I overreacting and she just made a bad mistake? Commenter 1 said, "No way are you wrong. That's a massive invasion of privacy. You might as well have left your diary open on her bed. I'd move out." Commenter 2 said, "She definitely crossed a line. It's hard to trust someone again after they snoop in your most private thoughts. She doesn't sound truly remorseful." Commenter 3 said, "It was a mistake, but you can't just throw away a whole friendship over it. People make bad choices. She apologized. Give her a chance to rebuild trust." My roommate logged into my private journal and told people what I wrote. Okay, so I just got off the phone with my best friend, absolutely livid, and I still don't know what to do. This builds on something I talked about a while ago, about my roommate, Chloe, logging into my private online journal and reading my entries. I confronted her, she admitted it, she cried, she swore she'd never do it again. I reluctantly decided to try and move past it, thinking maybe she truly understood how much she violated my trust. Big mistake. Today, I was chatting with another mutual friend, Maya, and we were talking about, just general life stuff. And Maya, completely out of nowhere, brings up a very specific, deeply personal struggle I had written about in my journal. Something I had never told Maya, or anyone else for that matter, outside of therapy. It was a really intimate, vulnerable thought I had processing a past trauma. Maya starts giving me advice about it, using exact phrasing I used in my journal entries. She said something like, "Yeah, Chloe told me you've been feeling my exact journal thoughts." My stomach just dropped. I felt completely gutted. Chloe. She didn't just read it, she told people. She logged into my private thoughts and then used them as gossip fodder with our mutual friends. I tried to play it cool with Maya, pretending I wasn't surprised, just nodding along. But inside I was screaming. Chloe didn't just break my trust once, she decimated it. She didn't just invade my privacy, she weaponized it. As soon as I got off the phone with Maya, I stormed into Chloe's room. She was just chilling, scrolling on her phone, looking completely innocent. "Chloe," I said, my voice shaking with rage. "You told Maya about my journal entries, about specific trauma." Her face went pale. "What? No, I would never. Don't you dare lie to me again," I shouted. I couldn't keep it together anymore. "Maya just told me everything. She said you told her. You read my private thoughts and then you spread them around like they were public news." She started crying again, immediately. "I didn't mean to. It just came up. I was worried about you. I was just asking for advice for you." "Asking for advice for me?" I scoffed. "By spilling my deepest, darkest thoughts to someone else without my permission? That's not being worried, Chloe. That's being a snake." I told her she was completely despicable, that I couldn't believe she would do something so malicious and betray my trust twice. I told her I want her out, that she has to find somewhere else to live. She pleaded, she begged, she said she had nowhere to go, that she was sorry, that she panicked. But I just couldn't look at her. All I could think about was my private vulnerabilities, exposed, discussed, and potentially now known by who knows how many people, thanks to her. She ruined my sense of safety, not just in this apartment, but in my own head. My journal was my sanctuary. Now it feels tainted. Every word I wrote, every raw emotion is now out there. She thinks I'm being too harsh asking her to move out. She says it was just a mistake and that people talk, and that I'm overreacting. But who just talks about someone else's personal journal entries? So, am I wrong for kicking her out? Am I overreacting to someone sharing my private thoughts from a stolen journal without my consent? Commenter 1 said, "Kick her out yesterday. Not only did she invade your privacy, she weaponized it. That's not a mistake, it's malicious." Commenter 2 said, "Absolutely not wrong. That's a massive betrayal, and she deserves to be kicked out. Your home should be a safe space." Commenter 3 said, "It's a huge betrayal, but kicking her out seems extreme. Maybe a cooling off period? Living together can be tough. Mistakes happen." Am I the jerk for not covering my coworker's shift when she tried to get me fired? Okay, so I have a coworker. Let's call her Brenda. We're in the same department, and she's always been difficult. Really passive-aggressive, constantly trying to one-up everyone, and generally just unpleasant to be around. A few weeks ago, Brenda started this really nasty rumor about me at work. Nothing true, just pure fabrication, alleging I was skipping out on my duties and letting other people do my work. This rumor reached our manager, who, instead of just dismissing it, actually called me into a meeting to discuss it. I was blindsided. I had to sit there and defend myself against utter lies. I brought up my project logs, my clock-in times, everything. It was super stressful and embarrassing. After I basically proved that Brenda's claims were completely false,
Our manager realized I was telling the truth and ended up apologizing to me for even having to question my work ethic. I found out later, through another coworker who overheard Brenda talking, that Brenda was the source of the rumor. And she wasn't just casually gossiping, she was actively trying to get me in trouble, hoping I would get fired or disciplined, so she could swoop in and take over some of my responsibilities for a perceived promotion. She thought she was being slick. I confronted Brenda about it, privately. I walked up to her, looked her straight in the eye, and said, "I know you started those rumors about me, and I want you to know I verified everything, and our manager knows they were false." She tried to play dumb. "What rumors? I don't know what you're talking about." But her face gave her away. She squirmed. I didn't push it further in that moment. I just wanted her to know that I knew. Fast forward to yesterday. Brenda's kid got sick, apparently, and she desperately needed someone to cover her shift, which was a critical evening slot. She called me because she knows I often take extra shifts for overtime. "Hey," she said, sounding all sweet and innocent, like nothing had ever happened. "My kid is sick. I really need to get this shift covered. I know you sometimes take extra hours. Any chance you could cover for me tonight?" My blood just ran cold. This woman, who actively tried to ruin my reputation and potentially my job, now has the audacity to call me for a favor and act like we're buddies? I paused for a really long time. I could almost hear her thinking I was considering it. Then I said, very calmly, "No, Brenda, I can't cover your shift tonight." She was instantly annoyed. "What? Why not? I thought you usually pick up extra shifts." "Yeah," I replied, "but not for people who try to get me fired." Silence. Dead silence on the other end. Then she exploded. "Are you serious? You're going to hold that against me now? My kid is sick. This is so unprofessional. Such a jerk move." "Brenda," I said, my voice still steady, "you lied about me. You spread false rumors.
And you put my job at risk. My personal life and my integrity were attacked because of your actions. Asking me for a favor after that is the unprofessional part, not my refusal." She hung up on me. Today she's been giving me the cold shoulder and glaring at me every chance she gets. And I heard her complaining to another coworker about how unsupportive I was. Part of me feels an ounce of guilt. A kid being sick is a legitimate reason. But then I remember having to defend myself in front of my manager, feeling like my career was on the line because of her maliciousness. Why should I extend a helping hand to someone who tried to stab me in the back? So, was I the jerk for refusing to cover my coworker's shift, even for a sick kid, because she tried to get me fired? Commenter 1 said, "Absolutely not the jerk. She tried to get you fired. You owe her nothing. Karma's a wild thing." Commenter 2 said, "Well, she was a total snake. A sick kid is a sensitive situation. Maybe you could have taken the high road?" Commenter 3 said, "She dug her own grave. Actions have consequences. You have every right to refuse to help someone who actively tried to sabotage you." Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video from us. We'll see you in the next one.